Barry Allen becomes the Flash, fastest man alive, in the iconic origin of the Flash. What's up guys, Roman from RNS Entertainment here, and welcome to another episode of Comic History, the weekly series where we explain and retell the iconic storylines, origins, and events in the world of comics. In this week's episode, we're going to be covering the origin of Barry Allen Flash, who, although the most famous iteration of the character, is actually the second version of the Flash in comics, following the 1940s Golden Age era Flash, Jay Garrick. Barry Allen's origin is widely known by fans of the character, and has been given even more spotlight by animated and live-action adaptations of The Flash, like Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox, and the Flash TV series on the CW. But in this video, I'm going to be explaining the history and context of how Barry's origin revitalized the very concept of superheroes for the modern world, heralding and beginning the Silver Age of comics. Superhero comics in the late 1930s through the 1940s, which is now considered the golden age of comics, consisted of cheap, easily accessible escapist stories to be read and tossed aside. And although this era marked the creation of timeless characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Golden Age counterparts for a number of characters like The Flash, Green Lantern, etc., it's generally not considered to be of much worth from a literary or artistic perspective. Golden Age comics also came under fire for the rise in juvenile delinquency of the time, though this was akin to people blaming video games for violent crime now, and has been subsequently proven to be a direct result of population growth. This led to the creation of the censorship organization known as the Comics Code of Authority, which sought to prohibit content they deemed dangerous, mostly in crime and horror comics, leading to a crash in the comic industry and an eventual return to superheroes. By the mid-50s, only 3 superheroes still held their own ongoing titles: Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And to test out new characters with fans, DC began releasing one-shot adventures of potential new characters in a series called Showcase. Showcase number 4 in 1956 featured a reworked and completely new version of the Flash, with his identity and backstory completely changed from the Golden Age Jay Garrick to the sci-fi inspired police scientist Barry Allen. And the success of this character's introduction created an enormous demand for new superheroes that literally revitalized the genre. This led to the creation of new Silver Age versions of other characters and teams that are now hallmarks of the DC universe, including Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Hawkman, the Justice League, and many others. It also led to the official separation of characters from the Golden Age as existing in an alternate Earth to the new Silver Age Earth, which they dubbed Earth 2, leading to the eventual concept of the multiverse that we see as a comic staple today. Barry Allen's origin starts off with Barry at his job as a police scientist chuckling over an issue of his favorite comic book, the Golden Age Jay Garrick Flash, as an ominous electrical storm brews over Central City. Barry wonders what it would be like to be the fastest man alive, and returns to a test he's conducting when suddenly a lightning bolt from the storm outside blasts through his window and strikes both Barry and his cabinet of chemicals, which contains, and I quote, "every chemical known to science," covering him in a random combination and leaving him in a daze. As Barry tries to catch a cab home, he misses it and runs to catch it, finding himself launched forward by a force inside of him that rockets him past the cab. Chalking it up to the lightning bolt messing with his mind, Barry stops at a diner to think, and when a waitress drops a tray of food, the items all appear to freeze in mid-air, with Barry moving so fast that he's able to rearrange the tray and put it back in the split second before it hit him. The next morning, Barry still tries to convince himself that he's been seeing things, but as he goes out on a date with his lady friend Iris West, who remarks on how Barry is always late, he notices a bullet moving in slow motion directly towards her. Lunging forward, Barry saves Iris from the stray bullet, which a police officer informs them was fired from a criminal named the Turtle Man, aka the slowest man on Earth, which, yeah, is an awful name. Returning to his lab, Barry finally accepts his role as the fastest man on Earth, and decides to take after his favorite comic hero, the Flash, to use his gift to help humanity. Barry spends some time wiring up a remote alarm system to alert him to crimes happening in the city, and also creating his superhero costume, which he fits within a ring on his finger with a chemical solution that keeps it compressed to micro size until it's released. Getting an alert that the Turtle Man is robbing the central bank, Flash runs straight down the side of the building and breaks the sound barrier on his way there, though he finds the vault seemingly empty and nothing stolen. Hours later, he realizes that he was tricked by the Turtle Man, who had hidden within the vault and somehow managed to pull off his robbery when Flash had left. Turtle Man tricks Flash several more times, mainly to just showcase the Flash's powers each time, with him running so fast into a wall that he drilled through it, and running on the surface of water to chase after the Turtle Man in a boat. After circling the boat with super speed to create a vortex of wind, Flash apprehends Turtle Man and becomes a news sensation after being interviewed by reporters and introducing himself as the Flash. The next villain Flash faces in Showcase number 4 is a thief from the future named Mazdan, who was sentenced in his time to be rocketed forward in time to when Earth was a desolate wasteland devoid of human life, but was accidentally sent back to the 20th century due to some vague accident with his time capsule ship. Mazdan then uses future tech to steal the items he needs to fix his ship and return to his own time, but Flash tracks the heat signature from his weapons to find him just in time, figuring out that Mazdan's ship would create a massive heat burst upon launching, which would destroy a 10-mile area around it, causing massive death tolls. Flash grabs Mazdan and runs him to a currently unused racetrack, bringing his speed up fast enough to vibrate at a resonance that can project them into the future, setting up the Flash's long and storied history with time travel later in the comics. Flash vibrates out of the current timeline and hits a time barrier, which he's able to pass through by using every bit of his speed, returning Mazdan to the authorities in his timeline and coming back to present day, where he finds that though he was in Mazdan's future for a few hours, no time had passed in the present. And that wraps up the 1956 origin of Barry Allen, aka The Flash. Though very goofy and cemented in its time, Barry Allen's origin story and what it did for comics can still be felt today, sparking the beginning of a new age of superheroes that laid the groundwork for every major aspect of both the DC multiverse and the comic industry as a whole. Everyone knows Barry Allen's basic origin story, but I hope by watching this video you learn something new about how the character came about or how comics were forever changed and influenced by this single issue. With Barry Allen's introduction, the Flash went from being just another superhero to the superhero who sparked a new era for the genre. And that is a huge thing in an industry that at the time had stagnated and threatened to collapse. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comment section below what you think about Barry Allen Flash, and what you'd like to see in future videos. Also, make sure to check out my podcast, the Comics Crossover Podcast. Our first episode recently aired where we talked about the upcoming Nightwing movie, Marvel Generations, Logan, and a ton of other superhero and movie-related topics. Episodes of that come out twice a month and air live right here on RNS Entertainment. You can follow me on Twitter at Roman_RNS, like and follow our Facebook page, and if you want to help support the channel and allow me to make bigger and better history videos, check out our Patreon, where you can even commission any story you'd like to see. That's it for today's video, guys, and we'll be back in a flash.